The court doesn't always get it right. Nixon's Attorney General, Elliot Richardson, he chose to step aside rather than follow through on a criminal president's unlawful order. Well, once again, in this pivotal moment in history, lawyers are our first and last line of defense. When you join the bar, you're going to swear an oath to preserve and protect the Constitution and the laws of your state and nation. Elected leaders like me take the same oath. So that means that no matter what we do or where we work, we share not only a moral duty, but a professional obligation to defend the rule of law. That's a pretty big deal. The rule of law is the foundation of pretty much everything we care about. It's what lets us settle our differences peacefully, makes it possible to start or grow a business, and empowers us to stand here and exchange ideas freely. Without the rule of law, everything else crumbles away. And that's where you all come in. Right now, more than any other time in my lifetime, we need you to live up to the oath that you're about to take. Because I have to be honest with you, you are graduating into a genuine emergency. Every single day, the President of the United States finds new ways to trample rights and undermine the rule of law. Now, I get it for some of you out there. Some would say, boy, it's getting way too political for a commencement address. But I would argue I wouldn't be honoring my oath if I didn't address this head on. And I'm going to start with the flashing red light. Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons. No chance to mount a defense, not even a chance to kiss a loved one goodbye, just grabbed up by masked agents, shoved into those vans, and disappeared. To be clear, there's no way for us to know whether they were actually criminals or not, because they refused to give them a trial. We're supposed to just take their word for it. And when duly elected members of Congress tried to exercise their constitutional right of oversight at an ICE facility, they get shoved around and threatened with arrest. And when courts told them repeatedly to knock it off, they brazenly defy them. Meanwhile, we have an aspiring fascist in Stephen Miller on TV talking about suspending habeas corpus. All of you know this. That's only used in times of rebellion or emergency, neither of which is happening right now. By the way, they're not only kicking out folks who are undocumented here, they're kicking out citizens. A few weeks ago, they kicked out 3 children, all under 8 years old. One of them had brain cancer, for Christ's sakes. It's not hyperbole to say we're not far from a world where anyone could get that knock at a door. And there's no guarantee you'd get your day in court or that you'd ever make it home alive from whatever corner of the world they stick you in. And then you have a vice president. When not getting chastised by various popes, he's offering up horrific arguments. Horrific arguments. It is his view that due process is optional. I don't know what the hell they teach at Yale, but the Constitution is pretty clear. It doesn't say only if it's convenient. It's crystal clear. Here's the thing. Due process isn't just lawyer speak. It's a right that stretches back centuries. It was wrested away from kings that heroes fought and died for. And we're just going to surrender it? Surrender it to Donald Trump, a guy whose only knowledge of the law is by being a criminal defendant himself. So, and I am going to talk about it. It's happening in front of our eyes. I'm going to talk about this damn jet. I don't know if you heard it. The president is getting this. I'm a little obsessive about things that really irritate the crap out of me and this type of stuff. Because this palace in the sky is getting from the Qatari government, which he gets to keep for himself when he's done. Let's be very clear. It's a flying bribe. Blatantly unconstitutional. Even worse, this whole deal was signed off on by the Attorney General of the United States. Ostensibly our nation's top lawyer. Famously an independent job. But now, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, is acting as the president's personal attorney. And weirdly enough, coincidentally enough, she happens to be a lobbyist for the government of Qatar. This is what the crumbling of rule of law looks like in real time. And it's exactly what the founders of this nation feared. A tyrant abusing power to persecute scapegoats and enemies. Look, I get it. There's nervous folks on my side of the aisle. They don't want us to touch any of this. I keep hearing this. oh, the polling really, it sucks talking about this. It's a distraction from more important issues. Consultants said steer away from talking about this rule of law stuff. But caring about this stuff isn't partisanship or politics, it's patriotism. The rule of law is the whole ballgame. What you stand for is what makes America America. If we don't fight back now, why did we get elected and why did we become attorneys to defend the law? But there are those with power and money that are choosing not to fight. And that brings me to, I guess, a touchy subject maybe here, big law. Granted, getting singled out by executive orders by the President of the United States will scare the crap out of you. Trust me, I get it. And I know it probably spooked their clients. But as any 1L here could tell you, those executive orders carry about the same constitutional authority as a ransom note. And the quality of the writing's about the same too. Those firms are home to some of the nation's top flight lawyers. These are folks that know how to throw a punch. So did they fight back? Well, some did, and guess what? They've gone to court and won almost every case they fought back on. But some of the biggest firms, you know the ones I'm talking about, they caved. I hope you haven't signed with them yet. Those feckless firms let Donald Trump shove them into a locker. Now they're at his beck and call to do his dirty work for free. I'm going to just name it. It's cravenly and cowardly, and that doesn't even begin to describe it. It's a flagrant betrayal of the oath they took as lawyers, the same oath I took as governor, the one that you're all about to take, to defend the rule of law come hell or high water. So I'm here today to ask you to take that responsibility seriously as you enter the workplace. That means letting those firms know they screwed up by refusing to work for them or with them. It means demanding your employer, private sector, public sector, whoever caves to those or bends the rule, be there to stand in that breach. That means screaming at the top of your lungs to call out abuse of power wherever you see it, and especially amidst elected officials. Because upholding the law in this make-or-break moment is just not something that you should do. It's something that any true lawyer or leader is compelled to do. And if you don't do it, who's going to do it? Here's the thing about fighting. Sometimes you lose. Trust me, I know something about losing. Losing on the biggest stage, under the brightest lights, with the highest stakes at the most important time. That has a way of sticking in your head and setting up shop. But the one thing about failing is it forces you to figure out what's next. A few days after that election, my wife Gwen and I and our pup Scout took a walk along that Mississippi River, not too far from here. And we're deciding, what do we do now? And we had that conversation about, how do we see it? We got two choices. On the one hand, a majority of the country who voted told us to kick rocks. On the other hand, the guy who won was planning to destroy everything that we cared about: friends, neighbors, families, rule of law, including destroying those who told us to kick rocks. And I was still a sitting governor. People's lives are on the line, and I have some power to do something about it. So I thought back to who else? Walter Mondale. Just to show this tie here, that guy knew something about losing too. He and Carter lost to Reagan and Bush in 80. He lost to Reagan in a landslide in 84. Thank God Minnesota voted the right way, by the way, in that election. So 2 decades later, long out of the public eye, Paul Wellstone died in a tragic plane crash 2 weeks before the election. And Walter Mondale stepped up to run for the Senate, and he lost again. But the remarkable thing about Fritz Mondale was, win or lose, that guy just kept on serving, strengthening our ties to Japan as an ambassador. He advised my administration throughout the entire COVID epidemic, shaping the future by teaching right here at the University of Minnesota. He never complained, title wasn't right, job was too small. He just found a way to serve. So Gwen and I cut that walk short. We got in the car, we called our team up to the Capitol, and we got to work saying, how do we preserve the rule of law and the things that we love? Because I too had taken an oath to uphold. Now, if Trump and his folks want to come for Minnesotans, We need to make sure that there's a firewall that they have to come through before they get to them. Now, I know I'm one of the last things standing between you, your future, celebration, lunch, everything else. So I'll close it. When you walk off this campus today, you're going to take some photos with your parents, there's going to be some tears, and you're going to leave the class that you've spent a pretty intense 3 years with. You're going to head in different directions. My hope is this. I hope a bunch of you will join us in the public sector. Become prosecutors, become public defenders. Others to go to companies and nonprofits. Some of you will go to big firms. That's fine. There's still some good ones out there, so go to them. But no matter where you go, you're going to face moments in your career, you're going to come to that crossroads, that choice. To bend to the whims of the wealthy and the powerful, or to stand up and fight. Even when that victory isn't guaranteed. I would say especially when that victory isn't guaranteed. But just think, if there's no chance of failing, there'd be no reason to fight like we're fighting. So don't let fear of failure prevent you from entering that arena. And if you lose a battle, fine, find another way to serve. The fight goes on. Because I have to tell you this, there's no savior coming down on high to get us out of this. It's us. It's the graduates of 2025. So look, I am an eternal optimist. I mentioned earlier I served in the lunchroom. You have got to be an optimist to survive that. So I tell you what, you all give me hope. You're brilliant. You're bold. You're dedicated. And as the dean said, you're ready. And here at the University of Minnesota, you live by that battle cry. So you can say it with me. Sky you ma, Gophers. I wish you all the best. Go out there and fight the good fight. Take what you've learned here to protect those that don't have a voice. Stand up for the rule of law and know that someday there are going to be stories written and names in this class who stood up in the moment of challenge for this nation and turned this thing around and preserved what is truly the best of America. Everybody belongs and everybody is equal in front of the law. Thank you.
Now we finally